let's have a little bit of a longer talk. I added a really quick TikTok and a reel, but as I was finishing up, my brain said, let's have a longer talk about this. So I posted a TikTok and a reel about a paradigm shift that I had specifically around, hold on, this looks really off center. It's really bugging me. Okay, there we go. About my understanding of Source God, the creator goddess, and how that came about and how that's it shifted things for me. So I grew up as an Israelite Hebrew, however you understand that to be. And so, the God of the Old Testament was very wrathful, very much wrathful. Even listening to how we observe the high holy days, like if you don't do this, you will be ostracized. Growing up, and you are like you're the chosen people, and you don't really think about what that kind of like mind is to say you're chosen by, yeah, like you were tapped and you were chosen by God. And it's not that I don't have that same kind of feeling about myself in a more individualized way, but there's still this, that was what it was like as a kid, is, chosen. There were moments that was real cool, and there was moments like, that's a lot of weight to carry. It's a really high expectation. And you think about um some of the things, the expectations that came with, like, you don't do this or God's not going to, you're no longer be chosen. You do this, you're no longer going to be chosen. You do this, you're no longer going to be chosen. And this fear, like, hey, you got to fast and do this thing, or else, you, in my mind, the way my brain had decided it, it's like if the years where I fasted and it was really hard and I was really hungry, I must have been really, really horrible the previous year, and I'm being punished to make up for it. That was how I rationalized that. That's what that looked like to me. Um, and so that was kind of like, if something bad happened, I must have done something bad and I'm being punished. That's the way that I saw my life. So from being homeless to some of the various traumas I experienced. But I think the real the one that really just brought it all was the passing of my firstborn son. I was like, why would what did I do to deserve this? I've waited all this time thinking I couldn't have children, only to get pregnant and my son die in my arms. And I was just like, God hates me. Like, God is clearly punishing me. Because for me personally, my son was mine, but he wasn't the only child in my life that I lost. My godson had died. I was in a relationship with someone who had kids, and then we split up, and then I no longer had kids. There were just all these various moments where losing children in some capacity, was a running and ongoing theme in my life. And I kept wondering, what did I do in a previous life where God felt like I needed to continuously lose children in this life? So that was kind of where I was. It was, if I kept the holidays, it wasn't that, I love God so much I'm going to fast. I love God so much I'm going to give up leavening. That wasn't the relationship I had, because that's not how it was presented. You do this or you're no longer chosen. You do this and you no longer, and growing up, the concept of, going to hell is not something, no, that's very unique, to a specific group. Um, so it wasn't that, it was just that I would be punished. I would be greatly punished. And that's kind of what I felt about it. So when I had my spiritual awakening and I went and sought out a mentor, she asked me, what is it what's your goal? And I said, I just want to feel like God doesn't hate me and that I have a connection to God. That was really my feeling on it. And at that point, I had been doing some studying here and there and listening and paying attention. And what I realized, even more now than before, is that there's like varying degrees of waking up, I think. Um, and I feel like, you know, slavery indoctrinated, the slaves that took on Christianity and other such faiths, they did so as a survival mechanism. Like they had to, they couldn't practice their own faith. And then once they got so used to it, then it became programming. Then it became, well, we didn't really know who God was before slavery. Oh my God, slavery gave us God. I'm an Aquarius sun, Mars, and Mercury. That don't make sense to me. Like it just doesn't. When you think about, I'm gonna say the original creation because I am of the mind, and that's a whole other conversation I won't get into, that each creation story has a basis in truth, and that's because it happened more than once. So I would say the original one is still in Africa. This is why we can birth like we're the blueprint. We literally carry the genetic code to be able to birth someone of any complexion. Our hair is literally spiraled like the galaxy. That's not an accident. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why we carry melanin the way that we do. Um, so to then feel like anything you knew prior to slavery was not of God, was not connected to God's source and the creator, to me doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. It does not resonate with me. That if that is your personal truth, that is okay. But for me, that is not my personal truth. My personal truth is that we have always walked with the creator. And that everybody's experience of source of God is unique to them, their own upbringing, paradigms, and things of that nature. However, if you are meant to experience God in a different way, in a broader way, in a way that is more oneness and universal, you will. Like that is your purpose. Um, Understanding that that closeness to source is not limited to you being a prophet, a guru, or anything like that. Because you think science, energy, everything is energy. Energy can't be created nor destroyed. So if there's an originating source of energy, it didn't destroy itself to create everything else. It simply changed form and expanded and moved about. And in some forms, it's moving slower and denser. In some forms, it's moving lighter and faster. The wind, those whispers of ideas that you get. And this epiphany, this realization, it was just like, I have been looking for God and then realizing God's always been with me, just like God's always with you. This deeper knowing that the expression of God and that group of people's experience of God doesn't mean they don't believe there's one God. They acknowledge God is infinite and that there are many facets and nuances to the creator. There has to be. Look at all the different look at the world and how different and vast and unique every single solitary thing is. That is a reflection of how vast and different and unique and infinite the creator is. So simply understanding that Egyptians, um, the Netters, um, are not individual deities. They are faces of one source, all. And it was just then it was like, oh, the Orisha and that consciousness through nature is how we experience God in nature. When we see the lightning strike, when we feel the wind blow, when we place our feet in the water, when we play with the sand, when we walk in the woods, when we sing a song, when we love one another, when we are farming the land, when we are harvesting the crops, when we are working with herbs, those are all these different aspects and personalities of God. And it's like, well, that makes sense because if you're trying to communicate the unknowable, communicate just the smallest facet of what you know and understand your creator to be, you need words and ways to describe. Like, you know what? God let me have a good harvest. I'm doing this. I feel like I'm a farmer and God let me do this. So the names of what they feel like that harvest would look like. And this isn't just limited to, you know, like everyone is experiencing God in their own way. Every pantheon is experiencing God in their own way, in their personal truth. And by understanding that everyone's personal truth of God is their personal truth, you realize that also your experience of yourself is your truth of how your relationship with God is. This is why I say self love is the foundation of everything. Because the more and more that I love myself and come to the realization that I'm both a creation of God and an aspect of God, I am both a creation and an aspect of God. Every time I'm looking in the mirror, I am seeing something divine. How can you not love that? How can you not honor that within you? And it is that personal truth that I feel like those who are meant to resonate with me, whether you resonate with me as a reader, whether you, I mean, in every aspect, even as a reader, I'm a teacher. Anyone who's had a reading from me will can vouch for the fact that I am teaching as I'm reading. So if you resonate with me as a teacher, coach, mentor, medium, oracle, whatever that word is, what you are doing are experiencing the many facets of God that move through me. The many fa- the many facets of the Most High that beam through my being as light, that allow me to do the work that I do, that allow me to take someone who doesn't feel like they're going to grow and develop and or keeps feeling like they're hitting a brick wall and help them find that thing, illuminate that thing within them that causes a catalyst that creates a spark that allows them to move and grow and flourish. And I had forgotten, like I had not paid it any attention that I had been doing it this whole time. That God had been moving through me this whole time and I didn't know it. Every time I mentored somebody at work and they took everything and they promoted up, leveled up, whatever the case may be, it was God moving through me. Every time I post a little inspirational word in the chat for my team, that's God moving through me. The poem that I won for Black History Month, I channeled that. That was full download. That was God moving through me. See, I don't have to. I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and some shorts and some big. I could go bigger earrings, and I don't look like, in the grand scheme of things, who you would feel like God was working through. And sometimes even when I see myself, I forget that. And then I meet somebody and they say, there is such a light about you. And I am reminded that I have and always have been, am and always have been one with Source. That in God's infinite wisdom, I have been blessed and allowed to connect not only with my divine creator, but the spiritual court that Source cultivated and molded and created to support me in my journey. They are not a replacement for God. They are God's emissaries that help me. and I'm always humbled and grateful for it. Okay, so I'm going to end this here. I don't know, just felt like it's a word I had to share. So I shared my personal relationship with the Most High. So this is Iadania signing off. Bye.